few minutes for people to do any shout outs that they want to give to themselves or to anyone on the team for the things that they've seen throughout the week this week. So if anybody wants to do a shout out, just unmute yourself and shout it out.
I don't know if Mandy Sitko is on, but she reached out to me after I did that live about the Instagram influencer, and I was able to have a powwow with her, and she's really just kind of re-engaging, and I was really excited that she's just been more present lately. I know she's got a lot going on with her life, but I'm really excited to see the change she's making.
Awesome. Thank you for doing that video, Lindsay. That was good. Okay, no other shout outs? Okay.
I want to shout out, go ahead.
Sorry, I almost interrupted you. You go ahead.
No, I just wanted to shout out Lindsay Cox because she's just amazing. And she's been helping me a lot lately, especially today. I had a meltdown today, and she was just there. She's a great success partner, and I love her.
That's awesome. We need to shout out Lauren because she just brought a baby into the world in the last few days, so that's exciting.
I want to shout out Jessica. Wait, who else is? Oh, I'm hearing myself. Am I echoing to you?
Not now. You were.
Okay. So we had a call with my downline coaches on, I don't know, a few days ago. I don't even know what today is, but we talked about basically we mentioned Instagram stories, and so we were all trying to be more present on there, and Jessica was saying how she's never done them and super intimidated, and she just went balls to the wall this week, and she is like, I don't know if you all follow her, but her posts they just give me chills, and she's just so real and authentic, and then just dove right into Instagram stories, which is so intimidating, and super proud of her.
Awesome. Megan, did you have someone you wanted to shout out?
Oh yeah, I do. I shouted her out on the team page, but I just wanted to shout out Kristen Carril again because this is her busy. She's an accountant, and this is like her busy time of the year, and I'm just really proud of her for showing up on social media, like really just being authentic and telling people how they can do it as a busy mom. And she's been working really hard, and I just wanted to let her know that it's not going unnoticed.
Awesome. All right. I'm gonna introduce Julie to you guys, and then I'll let her take over because she's got lots of good stuff for us. So Julie and I went to the same college, and it was a really small school, small campus, so we kind of knew of each other. She was a softball player, and I was a soccer player, and if you were on our campus and you were an athlete, then you pretty much knew each other because it was so little. And always thought a lot of her, and then a year or two ago, she reached out, and I think I had reached out to her too because she was doing a lot of work in sports fitness in the business area, and she can probably tell you more about that, but we kind of connected, and since then she's branched off and she's doing her own thing. She's an entrepreneur just like us, and she is going to be a business coach. I think there's like some formalities or legalities right now going on because she left a position. And then she's also becoming a certified life coach. And so she is my life coach right now, and literally is changing my life. Like, and she's going to blush or something, but she really is. Like, I'm messaging her over, like just yesterday, over the silliest stuff. But she's responding and helping me, and it makes me feel like I can be successful in this. And the wisdom that she brings, and the techniques that she brings, and the way she'll sit down and work with you and help you find a thing that works for you is really, really, really important. So I hope that you all have a pen, a paper, and you're ready to take notes, because I promise you that what she's bringing tonight is going to be of great value to you. So with no further ado.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Linz. Can you guys all hear me? Just give me a thumbs up. All right. And my screaming child is no longer screaming, so right on cue, which is great. But Linz, I mean, thank you so much for allowing me to be here and the opportunity to come and speak with all of you. Lindsay speaks very highly of her team and the people she surrounds herself with. So I can only imagine, the impact that you guys are continuing to have. And I just hope after today, you get 1 or 2 nuggets from me that you can take and run with and continue to have a positive influence in your life with whatever needs to have a positive influence. That may not just be business. It may be relationships. It may be career, whatever it needs to be for you. So most of you, if not all of you, filled out the form that we sent over before. We're not going to dig deep into those, but it's going to give you guys a really good starting place on where we're going today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to put us in presentation mode. Just let me know, give me a good thumbs up when you can see my screen. It should say the B word. Awesome. All right. So we're going to talk about the B word today. When I was talking to Lindsay, I asked her, what does your team need? What do they want? What are the things and struggles that you're hearing from them that I can provide a service to, or just some guidance in, or maybe just another perspective? And the same word kept coming up, and that was the word balance. Whether it was time management, whether it was, trying to just execute with, some of the tactics that you guys are working on, whatever that may be, and whatever balance means for each of you, it was a word that just was very profound in our conversations. So today, what I hope to leave you with is clarity, confidence, and a couple tactics to execute on behalf of having a balanced life. So we're going to go ahead and jump right in. And of course, I jumped right ahead on a couple of my slides here. So let me get us back. All right, so balance. So this woman probably looks pretty familiar to you. You probably feel like her quite often, right? We've got the spinning plates. We've got a lot going on. We're moms. We're wives. We're friends, family, daughters, whatever we are. We carry a lot of weight on our shoulders, and there's a lot going on. So in that questionnaire that you guys did, if you completed it, it really separated out into 6 categories. Now, I want you to know, I realize that those categories are very, very broad. All right. So relationships, out of relationships, there's just a web of different things we can talk about. Friendships, romantic relationships, business relationships, right? Each of them kind of contain their own channel that we can go down and really explore. And we're going to stay pretty surface today, and then hopefully give you the tools to unpack them as much as you need to. So we have this picture in our head of us just trying to keep these plates spinning. And at the end of the day, the most important thing is that you keep the most important plates spinning. And some might be at different speeds. Some might be close to hitting the ground, but we just need to make sure that the right ones are at the right speed at the right time. So I often hear this, or have you ever said this? I know I have. Guilty as charged. I don't have time, right? Have you ever said, I don't have time. I just don't have time. Really, I think what we're saying is I don't value this enough to spend time on it. Okay, so that's a pretty bold statement, right? That's basically saying, like, I'm taking ownership of this. I either don't value it enough, or I don't want to allocate time to it, which is all okay. But you do have the time. All right. So for everything you say yes to, you say no to something else. So this was a phrase that Lindsay touched on a little bit, that I have been the past 5 years a fitness business coach. So I worked with box gyms around the world, coaching them on how to improve their business or take their business wherever they wanted to take it. And one thing I would always say is, hey, everything comes at an expense. For everything you say yes to, you're going to say no to something else. We really just have to learn to be intentional about the things we're saying yes and no to. And that comes down to priorities. So we talk about priorities, and oftentimes when I talk about priorities, I'm like, well, really, there should only be one priority, right? But in our lives, that's pretty hard to maybe crystallize, because priorities ebb and flow. This is not a checklist, okay? It can change week to week, day to day. Heck, it can change hour to hour what your priorities are. Circumstances and situations can be thrown in your direction that you didn't expect when you set your priorities. So we're always in assess and reassess mode, but they are yours, not anyone else's. What I mean by this is, a lot of the time we do what we think we're supposed to do, but that's being projected on us. It's not actually what we need to be doing, right? Maybe someone's saying to you, like a boss, you need to do X, Y, and Z. And until you own that and really believe that that's your priority, you're likely going to struggle getting that done. And it's going to throw things out of balance. We could probably open this up and talk about some examples. But just think about the last time that your priorities became your priorities because of someone else making them your priorities. So what comes first? When you have all of these things coming at you in all different directions, what comes first? For this group, relationships and daily routines were almost in everybody's top 3 in that questionnaire, okay? Which is great, because like there's this nice mix. Like, you guys are in an industry where you need to build relationships. Relationships are really important, but we also need to make sure we're making time for building or connecting or nurturing those relationships. And then daily routines, that make sense. We want to have maybe some organization around us to help us do our best work. Now, those are the 2 that in general were at the top. But if finances or career or giving back and health were at the top for you, that's okay too. Okay. So what I want you to think about is, what is at the top of your priority list? Because every successful person says yes to the right things at the right time. It doesn't necessarily mean you say yes to everything or no to everything. We've just got to be able to recognize when our priorities and how to find the balance based on where we want to go. So what I want us to do is, I had you guys start to think about this a little bit, but pick the one that means the most to you right now. Okay. And if we had to narrow it down to these 6, let's pick one of those 6 and then just identify maybe just a subset of that 6. So maybe relationships for you is the most important. And part of that is maybe you want to have a date night once a month. So I'm just going to give you guys a minute to just pick one. What's the top for you? And then once you do that, just give me a thumbs up once you have it. I'll kind of scan through here, make sure we've all got it. Okay, cool. All right, now I want you to think about this. How did you pick that? What were you considering when you picked that top one? Hands down, the majority of the time we pick based on urgency. And what I mean by that is a deadline, right? Like, there's a deadline. I need to do this by this date. Okay. And it does become a checklist, right? But there's probably not a ton of intentionality behind it, other than like, I don't want to be late on this, or I don't want to be too late on this. So there's some urgency. Investment. So if you're financially invested, emotionally invested, likely that's going to rank a little bit higher. And then short term, and I put long-term consequences, but often when we're really thinking about priorities, we don't always take into consideration the long term. So probably more towards short-term consequences of not doing it. So if I don't do X, what's going to happen? If I don't sweep the floor, it's not a huge consequence, right? you might feel like, I should have, would have, could have done that, but it's not going to, take a huge toll on you unless it happens over and over again, and that's something that you value. So oftentimes we prioritize based on our fear of losing or not having something versus prioritizing basing on adding something to our life. So now what I want you to do is pick the one that means the most to you because it's going to add to your life. All right. Thumbs up once you got that. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to ask you guys to kind of open up. Let's unmute ourselves. I want you to know, or I want to know, were they different? How many of you, like, they were the same? And if they were different, if you feel comfortable, let's just share. What were they? What was based on urgency and what was based on like adding value to your life? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop my share so we can see everybody. So anybody want to speak up? Linz?
So the first question, when it said like, what's your number one right now? Mine was finances, which if people know me, they know that that's not why I do what I do. But right now at this stage in my life, it's the urgency. Like I know I've got to get it figured out because I'm about to be all on my own. But then with the second question, money doesn't add to my life at all. Relationships was the answer to the second question. And can I share just a little bit more because of what I had texted you about this weekend? Yeah. So Friday night, I went out with a friend and spent more money out than I had planned on. We went to a couple different places, had more drinks than I had planned on having. Wasn't crazy or anything, but and then we also got pizza and salad and all this stuff. So I ended up spending a larger amount of money than I had originally planned. And so the next morning I was starting to feel a little guilty about it. So I messaged Julie and she kind of explained to me like, you spent money out of your account that you didn't necessarily plan in advance, but you didn't like go crazy and you didn't like, you weren't being reckless, but you also had a really amazing night with a friend that has become probably my best friend here. And like in this town that I work with. And that's valuable. So the money that was spent was well worth what I got out of it, I guess, is what she was saying. So, and that's the kind of stuff she does when she makes me feel better about that kind of thing.
Awesome. Anybody else different between the two and want to share?
Yeah,
Lisa?
Actually, mine were very different. My first one was health because, I've been dealing with some health issues myself, which are managed. I'm worried about my husband's health and I have a daughter who's very ill. So for me, like that is first and foremost. And my daughter has been very sick for the last 4 days. So that's pretty much where we've been at. That's what our whole world has been revolving around. So health is in all forms of health, mental, physical, everything, is kind of first and foremost for me. And then my second was relationships because, I try very hard to focus on my husband and I's relationship because we can get bogged down with everything that revolves around my daughter and everything. And we have to, kind of remember that we are still a married couple and we have to focus on that. But it's really hard. You get bogged down in everything. We spent 6 months apart. He was in Pennsylvania with our youngest two who were 4 and 1. And I was in North Carolina with her in the hospital. She was 7 at the time. We were apart for 6 months. And FaceTime was amazing. And so we survived it. I mean, somehow we did. And we try really, really hard. And I don't think we focus enough on the husband-wife relationship. We fall into the mom and dad and parents of a sick kid role and parents of 3 kids. And so that's definitely a strong number 2 for me. But first and foremost for me is always health.
Awesome. Anyone else? Christy, I saw finances to health. Anyone else want to share? See a couple of chats coming through. Some same choices. We've got Megan, Lindsay, same. Awesome. All right. So keep those at the top of your mind. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. So we'll get back here. And now I want you to take a moment and just assess what has been preventing you from what you want in both of these areas. So, you know, are there things that have maybe stopped you from making them more of a priority or really sticking to them and being adamant about working towards those areas? So just kind of think about it. And I'll just give you a minute to pause here and think. And I'm not going to ask for anything in return. I just want you to think. All right. Now what I want you to do is, now that we know a little bit, now normally, as Lindsay would tell you, we kind of go into those things on a one-on-one basis. Like if there are things that are stopping you from getting you where you want to go, we work really closely together to kind of get those hurdles and roadblocks out of the way for you and help you go in the direction you want to go. But the key is really knowing where that is, right? Knowing the direction. Now, what I want you to do is think of one thing that you're going to work on over the next month to help you move towards what you want in both of those areas. So urgency and adding to your life is really important. So the things that are, you know, high priority for you, the things that are urgent, maybe because of circumstance or because you want your business to thrive or whatever it may be, that's close, or if not as important as the things that are adding to your life too. So just focusing on those two areas, just write one thing that you can work on in a month to help you move forward. Does anyone want to share what they came up with? Their one thing for both?
Well, my areas were the same for both. So, but relationships is really right now a huge priority. We are dealing with, especially with me and my husband, dealing with being special needs parents and what that looks like outside of, hey, we're both raising this kid, but we have to remember we like each other too. And so we've already been kind of doing this. We've been listening to Rachel Hollis's Rise Together with her husband's podcast. We've been intentionally doing that every time we're in the car, every time we're getting together. And we've actually started, like, this month, like, we're going forward doing an activity outside of time with our daughter where we just focus, not necessarily even a date night, but just getting out of the house and putting rules where we don't talk about her, we don't talk about her therapies, we don't talk about what's going on with her, but we talk about, like, maybe it's a silly meme we saw that we thought the other person would have liked, or a movie, or an article we read, just talking kind of how we were before she was born and before she was diagnosed.
So, anyone else want to share theirs? A couple action steps.
I put mine in the comments, but I wrote down that continuing to go out and meet new people and doing new things, like today going to yoga, I met several new people, and that will help me to build the relationships that I'm wanting. And then I also invited my friend Anna that I hung out with Friday night to go to that with me as well. And so our friendship is growing really strong. And then it also could potentially gain me more business, which would help the finances side because, you know, meeting new people, networking, that kind of thing.
Awesome. And I see some good chats coming through. Keep them coming. All right, I'm going to jump back in here. So we've got those one things. Now, I really just wanted to be able to give you guys kind of at least the direction on how to start thinking about, okay, what is my priority? How do I consider all of the things that I feel like are a priority and like put them in order. And I think there's some really great tactics to like executing priorities. And I know someone wrote through, I think it might have been Lindsay, time management, right? So yeah, I have these priorities, but I only have, 30 minutes a day to, execute on them, or, one night a week to go and have a date night. So what I want you to think about is know how you receive information. So I'm going to give you a couple tactics as we wrap up tonight on how to keep these things front of mind, and also like run them through the filters every single day. So I really like leveraging learning styles. If you're visual, like write it somewhere. Write your priorities where you can see them, on a mirror, on sticky notes on your computer, wherever that you're going to see them frequently, and that you are going to be able to go to remind yourself of those priorities. If you're verbal, say them to yourself every day. So we all learn differently. So one way of, putting things in front of ourselves doesn't work for everyone. So consider verbal, use words. Maybe you need to write them every day, just to keep them front of mind. And then physical, using your body, again, that might be the right one, but it also might be like, during yoga, you're kind of thinking about your priorities and you're keeping them front of mind. So this is more of a reminder tactic so that we are intentional, and that we like don't let circumstance or the day by day just intrude in on what you're believing is number one and maybe number two in your life right now. One of my favorite tactics I used as an employee and a manager was my ABCDE method. So every day I would have a ton of things that I needed to get done. But, if we run them through, and I would call this triage, because really what triage is your constant assessment of like what's most critical to treat right now. Like, is it a gaping wound, or is it just need a Band-Aid, right? It's that urgency factor. So every list every day would get an A, B, C, D, or E. A, I need to do it today. B, I need to do it sometime this week. C, I need to do it sometime this month. D, I need to delegate it. E, eliminate it. So sometimes we get stuck in the doing mode and we forget like what the purpose of doing it is. If something no longer has a purpose for you, eliminate it. We can sub something in that's going to be more effective for you. Okay. And this might kind of help you with, some of the action steps and some of the connecting and inviting you need to do. Like there are some non-negotiables. There are some priorities in the business that you need to do. They're going to be an A every day. Some just need to get done this week, right? They're going to look at like a B, just to give you guys a little bit of an example. But this is a really great tactic that you can use. The other is, I call these self-agreements. And I think Lindsay and I talked a little bit about this. We probably just skated over the surface, but aligning your daily habits with your priorities and constantly assessing and reassessing. So what I mean by like your self-agreement is that kind of reward system that you say, if I do this, then I can go on to this. So for example, if you had daily routines as a priority and relationships, or maybe your business, your daily, weekly, and monthly action promises might look like, every day I need 10 minutes of cleaning. I don't know what I'm going to be cleaning. I'm going to set my clock for 10 minutes and I'm going to clean. Okay. Because maybe that is something that you want to have like that organization around you. Okay. 10 minutes, you can get a lot done in 10 minutes if you're focused on it. Maybe daily, you need a daily invite. 30 minutes of lead generation, whatever that may be for you. 60 minutes of client engagement and reach outs. Like just be really crystal clear on how much time and what it is. That's going to help you be able to look at these and do the ABCDE method. Weekly, okay, maybe on the personal front, the daily routines, we need to do some mop and laundry weekly. We need to invite 5 people. generally, this is kind of a result of like a daily invite. Maybe it's invite 7 people, but every day, if you invite 1, every little bit counts. Stay at home date night, and then monthly, like a girls' night out, or you're going to have an outcome of 2 new clients. So everything should connect daily, weekly to monthly. But the most important thing is that, you have a pretty intentional plan of attack when it comes to your priorities. The game changer. Know your destination and eliminate all distractions. I forget who it was. It might have been Lindsay Cox saying that she, they were purposefully eliminating like any talk about certain things, and they were just staying focused on each other, like the quality versus the quantity piece. So if you can have more effective, higher quality time, you're going to buy back time. The least amount of time that you can transition during the day, every transition from one thing to another, think social media to a conversation with your son or daughter, social media, then back to doing dishes. Every time you transition, it takes about 15 to 30 minutes for your brain to flip back into gear. So if you transition 10 times a day, that's 300 minutes. So minimize those transitions. Lack of direction, not lack of time, is a problem. We all have 24 hours a day. That's all I got for you guys tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. That was awesome. Does anybody have any questions before we say goodnight for Julie, for anybody? Feel free to unmute yourself. I'm reading a comment. So Julie, Lindsay Kennedy is saying that she's OCD and she will start something and then she'll get it done, and then she'll see something else that needs to get done, but she won't stop. And so then she won't stop until all the things are done. Can you give her any advice on that?
So where's Lindsay?
Lindsay Kennedy, raise your hand.
There she is. Okay, so I am obsessed. I am OCD to the max, so I totally get you, girl. So the best advice I can give you is more that plan and like those agreements with yourself. So versus things that get done, look at like time blocks to work in. So we work really well in 45-minute time blocks. The brain, the body, research shows 45 minutes, then take a 15-minute break. So you might see like a lot, like I've just got to do everything, but it may not be the priority. So I encourage you, take the 45 minutes. Like I think Sarah said earlier, balls to the wall, right? Get your stuff done. Then at that break, reassess. So, okay, now I have this list of priorities. Here are the other things I have to get done. All right, let's reprioritize them. Like, here's my A now. So that you're always working from the top of your list. Does that help? Okay, cool.
Very much so. Thank you.
You're welcome. And it takes practice. So don't think, it's like you probably tell all of your clients, like you're going to have rough days. You're going to have days where you're going to go back to what you've always been. Like this is a habit we got to layer in. And it just happens like one habit at a time, one action step at a time. If you get through your week and you're like, you know what? I stayed at the top of my list 3 out of the 7 days. Like that's a win. Next week, top of list 4 out of 7 days. But we just got to know what the top of the list is. Awesome, ladies. Well, I'll kind of hang around if there's any questions or anything like that. Feel free to, chat them over. Also, I can give Lindsay my email address if you guys want to email me. I do have the emails from those that submitted the form, so I might shoot out just a quick thank you so that you can respond there. But also hit me up on Facebook Messenger. I'm in the group right now, so you can just friend me and we can chat away. If you need any help on anything, I'm happy to help. I mean, really, my mission in life is to just provide positive impact and value and help strong women achieve what the heck they want to achieve, whatever that is. Like, I just want to point you forward and just provide you with a little bit of momentum. And I'm here to help. So if you need me, let me know. I'll get my contact information over to Lindsay too.
Also, she has an amazing group on Facebook. Did you mention that yet, Julie?
I haven't.
You want to tell them about it?
So I have a group. It's called Strong Women Believe, Achieve, and Transform. It's a group that I started to surround myself with other strong women. And there's motivation there. We do some self-care Sundays, so just some reminders for us to like stay healthy and take care of ourselves. Motivation, empowerment, conversation. Come on over, you know, come in the group. It's pretty low key. Get engaged. I love just talking to you guys and getting to know you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Julie.
You're welcome. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and sign off so you guys can do your thing. But it was great to see you all. Thank you for coming. And I hope to hear from you. Thanks, Lindsay.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
All right. I'm going to stop recording.